I am a fan of your art.
Thank you.
What is
That's
your
serious.
thought
Thank you.
process when it comes to graphic designing, and then especially with a org like 100 Thieves at that?
I think the world of esports itself is just always fast moving. So if you're not ready, you're like, it's one of those situations where you're not going to be having a good time. So I'm like always ready. You know what I mean? No matter what time it is. But the process just kind of goes with when I'm needed, I just pull up, and hope and hope for the best. So I can do it on time.
Yeah. No,
Because not until recently we picked up another my junior designer George, who prior to that I was pretty much solo since I signed 2 years ago, and it was doing every asset that you basically see when it comes down to 100 Thieves stuff, and it was hard.
They had you like that?
Hard. It was hard.
Gee.
Yeah. So you can call it what it is, but it was just say it was a learning process for me to kind of figure out my time management and my kind of what I can do under pressure, and the pressure comes down to just like making sure I do it. I had to just do it. So
PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series X?
To be fair with you, I think PlayStation without a doubt is what I would say. I think I like.
You already my dude.
I think like when it even comes down to like the PlayStation 5 show, like the their reveals and all that stuff, they had like a really good pace, beautiful games. You know what I mean? They understood, I feel like, what we wanted, kind of thing. So I think that's where it went down.
I have a question for you. Like, as far as like becoming a designer, like what influenced you or got you into like, hey, I want to be a designer? And then also like walk us through your journey on pretty much signing with 100 Thieves and doing most, like you pretty much like made the entire, like, you might as well say the drip of 100 Thieves, or how it's perceived and look like. Walk us through that journey.
Well, firstly, it kind of graphic design has never been what I thought I wanted to do until I did it, So I was growing up, like I always like to be like hands-on, very artsy, kind of like I always love to draw, like everything, like every time I got like a present from like an uncle or my mother or whatever, like it was always like sketchbooks, coloring books. I was very art driven when I was younger, for sure. I was very hands-on, cutting paper up, making like paper swords, things like that. Like I was that kind of like individual. So yeah, when I got around high school, and I'm still again like watching all these videos, playing all these games. When I got around to high school, though, is when I finally made enough money to actually order an Xbox. And when I got my first Xbox, is when I started hang out with some pretty dope people. But at first, I was just like, I was looking at these videos. I was like, this is so cool. I think I want to be an editor for these videos. So I would go ahead and like, find these little small teams and like go ahead and edit these videos. And long and behold, I wanted to start a YouTube channel, like editing people's videos, because back in the day, you wouldn't really get credit for what you would do. And I made a YouTube channel. Before on my YouTube channel, though, in the small team that I was in, I asked a friend who was a graphic designer, and I didn't really know much of it. I just knew it was a graphic designer. That's what the term was called for people who knew how to do Photoshop. And I was like, hey, can you like make me a YouTube banner, bro? Because I need I need something for my YouTube, how to start one up. And he was like, yeah, sure. I was like, I got you. I was like, cool. I waited 2 days, being super impatient. I was just like, yo, where is it? Like, I need this YouTube banner, And he's just like, yeah, I'm a little bit busy. And that's when I pretty much was just like, hey, just like, show me how you do it. And it was like history from there. I was just like, I fell in love with his name was Justin Fakey GFX. I remember the name very specifically. Like, love that man, because what he did for me was just change my entire perspective in life and just showed me a world that I didn't know I was going to be just so involved in love with, because it combined my two favorite things, just being very hands-on, critical thinking, and just computers. And when I figured that, this Photoshop program was something I had access to, I can get it and I can use it. I can play with it. And this is what people use as like grown-ups, right? Like, just like it was super like, oh, this is kind of cool, and I fell in love with it. I was just making banners left and right for anyone who wanted one. I was just that kind of guy. I was just really excited about graphic design overall.
Wait, so you were doing it for free?
I was doing it for free. Very, very much so for free, by the way. It was just, I didn't even think I was complaining. I didn't even have money in my mind in it, because I didn't really think or know.
That's how I started out too, with graphic design.
Now, how do you keep yourself from like burning out? Because there is that pressure to constantly be creating new merch.
When it comes to burnout, I think that concept is it can be weird sometimes, but I don't think with a strong community behind you, I don't really think burnout is really in your. I don't really think you can burn out that time. Like there's too many people that are relying on you, and it is super stressful. I do believe in the sense that I sometimes wake up and I just don't want to even touch Photoshop, don't want to get on my computer. But the reality is, I got to get on and I got to get to work, and that's just how it is. People are paying attention, people are looking at every given moment, and people are expecting. And when it comes down to like, when you have a strong community in that sense, whether if it's just my personal brand and or 100 Thieves and just, what we have to execute, things like that, there's a certain level of just like, you have to do it. And with the you have to do it comes just like you realize that you can stretch yourself a little bit further every single time. So I haven't reached that like, damn, I can't freaking do this anymore. So I don't really know what burnout is at the moment, but when I find it, I'll let you know how terrible it is. And that's what it is.
How do you, for someone that wants to get into graphic design and now they're getting so many clients because of, their style is catching on, how do you set up that, okay, I got this set up this type of way, so when I go in and make this, boom, it's like drag and drop and then I put my style on it? Is that something that you do? So it's like, okay, I have this already done set this way in Photoshops to kind of make your workflow easier. Do you have that kind of like approach? Right.
So I think when it comes down to like picking out clients for me nowadays, it's being very much so in love with the concept at hand. A lot of people sort of like forget that they also have to love the project that they're working on, but they kind of blank it out, but like, this is money, this is what it is. And then when they start getting these clients, let's just say they have 3 clients and they only really love one project, that's where you find yourself in a really sense of, that's when you start feeling burnout, I think, in my opinion, is because you took a project where you've already hated it from the start and you're doing it for money now. And then all of a sudden you realize you have no time. You're running out of time. You're doing this. Like you have other things you want to do. Like that pressure and that kind of like pull, I think is what causes a lot of people to be like, like I have to do this, like that kind of emotion. So I think the strongest thing anyone can do as a graphic designer and like picking out clients is being sure that they're falling in love with the product, like at first, like right off the bat, like, hey, what's this? How is this? Do I like this? Is this person even going to be a good person? Can he communicate? Like if I have to force everything out of him, I don't know if I should work with him because, he might not know what he wants. And then when I bring him a really dope concept, he's just like, I don't really like it. So what do you like? If you can't figure that out in the beginning, I think, then you're going to run into burnout because those people are going to really stress you out. Not that they're bad people, but just simply because they just don't know. And sometimes you might not have the pull to kind of pull it out of them. So that's what I would say.
I have a random question here. What is your favorite anime?
My favorite anime.
Do you watch anime?
I do watch anime. Don't hate me though. I watch most dub, but I do have a few subs. Okay, because I have to work. I have to still work. If I'm watching something, I need to also be working at the same time. So
just learn Japanese now.
Yeah, exactly. Perfectly. But my favorite anime has to either be Code Geass or Death Note is one of my favorites. But I'd put Code Geass in front.
It's so crazy. People who like Death Note always mention Code Geass in the same sentence. It is so fun. My brother does that. Like, those are his 2 favorites. And I heard someone else say the same exact thing. I'm like, what is this? What is going on? It's like all the time.
The only ever anime that gave me the feeling that Code Geass gave me was Death Note. I was just like, so those are my go-tos for me.
But bro, like, where do you see the future of gaming? Like, I know, like, you're still a gamer at heart, whether you're a designer or whatever, right? Like, you still play video games, you're still in this realm. Where do you see esports gaming, the future of it, brands buying in? Like, what is the long-term vision you're seeing of esports and gaming?
I see it more as for this mainstream industries. I would see the gaming industry to be more of a marketing kind of thing. That's why I think money will always come in for esports. I think it's very much so, if target brands, teens, young adults and things like that, they're all going to be playing video games. Everyone's going to be playing video games for the rest of their lives. Yeah. So if you can tie in, the outside marketing to esports is where I kind of see it a lot. So that's why I feel like esports in general is never going to kind of die out. At this point, there's absolutely no way. And I think there's truly no way. Simply because, again, like I said, esports or gaming, it's basically forever. It's not like games just become boring, and it's only going to ever elevate. And I think just like where I see it is hopefully, there's more than just, these top 20 teams that you kind of think is the biggest and the biggest. I wish there was like, 100, you know what I mean? Like there's I would just want it to be more in the sense, because right now in the sense of the creative industry, I'm gonna speak for the creative part of it, is not everyone in the sense has an opportunity to get inside esports and call it a job, as in, hey, I want to join this org and they're going to be able to pay me $3,000 at least so I can pay rent and stuff like that. That's not it yet. Like there's probably like realistically maybe like 200 to 300 to 400 like real creative industry spots out of the thousands of these people who want to like make this their thing, and also have like real tie-in, I guess, longevity in it. So I think where I hope to see it is just more money coming in to support the actual orgs and the community around, so that way all these people that are coming in can really fall in love and be like, hey, I really want this to be my job and not just be a professional esport player, I want to be an editor, I want to be a photographer of this team, I feel like that's where I would hope to see it. I think that's where it's going to be leading. I just think that the teams of the excellence of the top majority of like these that has all these eyes on them just need to continuously showcase, we're not restricted. I do think esports has one of the best like marketing in the sense where it's always in your face and you always remember it. Like you'll always know these top energy drinks. You'll always know the best controllers to use. You'll always know it because it's always there. And where I would say I would just put it in a sense where I just hope that we can do this for the rest of our lives. I want to be 40 and still playing video games and making money in the industry. That's what I would hope for.
I mean, I'm young, so I don't know yet. We have older co-hosts. I'm not gonna call them out. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know how my fingers.
He gonna say, "Oh, we have older." You throw a shade?
No.
Real, bro.
You did it really messed up. That's how you know you a youngin.
Yeah, the levels.
You messed up.
the levels. My bad. The levels.
He didn't say OGs and gang.
OGs, my bad. Yeah, you're right.
Gang, bro.
The OGs.
He said we just old Warlock. He
my
just
bad.
said we're old.
Look, see, I'm a young boy. My bad. The OGs. So we got OGs on here. I'm a young boy.
How did you get that style with your graphic design? Because a lot of people is learning off of you right now.
Fair.
In esports.
I think in the start, right, I think a lot of the esport teams were very more towards this grungy kind of that vibe. For some reason, grunge and esport designs, period, were like, that was bread and butter. That was like
the HDR is high.
Exactly. You don't go anywhere else besides grunge. And everyone just had this whole grunge thing. So when I got to a point, when I joined 100 Thieves, I wasn't the only designer. There was another designer known as Alpaca. When I joined on the team, they were very much so grunge, right? And me as a person designing, I never really like designed it like with grunge only and like try to figure out how to make that look new and feel new and do that. So a lot of my first, I would say like 4 or 5 months, was just basically me piggybacking off what Alpaca had built. And when he was no longer in the picture in that sense, I was like, if I can change things around, that'd be kind of cool. Because, in the sense where I don't know how to elevate this. He would probably easily kill that, right? He would probably easily figure out how to help me, but I was just like, we got the new facility coming. And this is literally basically middle or beginning of 2020. And I was like, we got a new facility coming, as this really clean industrial vibe. We had picked up Doug Barber, and he was just incredible mind. He just worked with like reigning champs. So he just had this really clean idea of what he wanted to bring for the brand and being the creative director. So I was just like, okay, he didn't tell me to do this, but I was just like, I'm just going to basically clean everything up. I'm going to go the industrial typography leaded vibe, where I know I love clean design. I love making textures with text. So I was just like, okay, I'm going to just bring this up to my manager, Julia. And I was like, hey, Julia, you think I could just like scratch grunge and just go black and white and like text? And they're like, I guess. I mean, there's no like wrong you can't do, because at that time we didn't have like a creative deck where it's just like you can't do this, you can't do that. All we had was basically you had to use this logo, you had to use that logo. So when it came down to it, the first graphic I did was, I think, like a creative graphic where we were saying thank you for a certain amount of subscribers, something like that we had. And when I was like, okay, this is it. Like this is gonna be a big graphic because everyone's gonna be retweeting it, liking it, all that stuff, because this is one of the the first. It's definitely gonna get interaction. So I was like, it's gonna have the most eyes in a little bit, and they're gonna see this different style change. And as soon as we tweeted it out, and all of a sudden I'm just getting pinged. I'm just like, this is fire, Seso. This is. I'm like, let's go. So I immediately kind of fell in love with like being that it was basically the only team doing this really clean, more draw down. I would even say like more towards out industry esport designs, but also still tying in that esport cool, that esport swag. And when it came down to that, 6 months later, most teams now are on that clean route.
Yes,
which fairly enough is I think is a really smart choice in that sense. Right? Like, I do think being more legible, more clean, more quality is only going to help us. So whether or not if I had to be the one who started it and or who had to be the one to make it, I guess, put a shine on the light, because I'm not going to say I started anything, but if I had to be the one to say like, I did this really cool idea, then dope. Like regardless, but I just think it was really cool.
Nah, bro, you own that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But you own that. I think y'all get it as far as bringing a lifestyle approach, because gaming period is a lifestyle. Of course, it's something that we've done in our pastime and created careers off of. It's a part of our lives. Like we've been gaming since, like, I mean, I can attest for myself. I've been gaming since I was a little kid. So to make it into a career and then put a lifestyle approach to it, I forgot who mentioned. I don't know if it was Eric, Don, or you, Warlock. I was like, yo, people go out and purchase 100 Thieves stuff and don't even know that it has anything to deal with gaming. So I think when you hit that on the nail, then that's perfect.
I would just kind of end it off what I usually say to my community. Is just like, regardless of what's going on in the world, I think it's just very like a strong opinion of mine. It's just I always say, keep smiling, stay positive, and stay productive. Because if you're smiling through it, it's not that it doesn't affect you, but you can find light in it. You're staying positive because, of course, it is what the only thing you have is to just allow yourself to feel confident and positive through whatever's happening. But I know it's okay to feel, it's okay to feel bad as well. But also staying productive can really help ease your mind in the sense of really working towards something. And with all that kind of stuff, you're gonna have, I think, a pretty successful time.
You're gonna make me cry, bro. Oh my gosh.